T-Bird fans, we welcome you to another edition of T-Bird Talk. I'm Clap County Community College Sports Information Director, Toby Nosker. And this week, the 2024 fall sports year at Clap County Community College in Concordia officially gets underway as the Clap County Community College volleyball team will make a trip to Mesquite, Texas, where they will open the 2024 season by taking part in the Dallas Eastfield Invitational. Joining us this week on T-Bird Talk, we have the head volleyball coach at Clap County Community College, Hilta Ramos. Coach, great to have you back. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, and I appreciate you joining us. And a few weeks of practice in, but the season now ready to take off. Are you guys ready for this?
We are getting ready. We're on the way. We started practicing August 1st. Volleyball preseason is kind of short. It's not like some of the other sports where we have like a month. So we've been practicing twice a day, try to get ready. We have 12 newcomers, 11 freshmen, 1 transfer, and only 4 sophomores back. So there's a lot of work to do. We have a very athletic team, but there's still a lot to put together, make sure we're all on the same page. They all know what they're doing. But yeah, we're getting ready. We'll be ready by the time we need to.
Let's talk about how you approach the preseason because you started practices August 1st, but I know a handful of days before that, the girls all move in, and then you host youth camps with kids from around the region who come in, different age groups, different experience levels, and your girls actually get a chance to kind of work with some of the kids in the community, and that's how they start off their season. Tell me about that, and how much fun was that this year?
Yeah, so usually what we do, we ask the girls to come in 1 to 2 days before our camp, and we strategically plan to have the camps the last 3 days of July, since we know we're going to start practicing and having our preseason on August 1st. So the last 3 days, we usually have camps. First day, we usually have the Bitty Birds, what we like to call them Bitty Birds. They're like preschoolers, really young kids, just starting to not understand, but like really know the game. So we have them first, and then we have the beginners on that first day, and it's like very light. The girls just come, and honestly, I tell them it's just for you to have fun, because at that age there isn't much you can really teach them about volleyball, but it's super fun. The girls really like it. And then the second day we usually have the intermediate volleyball. So then there's a group with a little bit more skill. They know a little bit more. And then the last day is the advanced camp. Usually you're going to see more high school players playing, invited for that camp. And we like to do that as well because it gives them the chance to move in. Don't worry about, moving in and then starting to have the preseason right away. And then gives them time to know each other. Those 3 days we have, team bonding activities and stuff like that, since we cannot practice yet, but we can know each other a little better. We can have some dinners together. We can have some lunch together. So we do a lot of things as a team. So they start that knowing each other a little bit earlier than August 1st. And it's also super fun because sometimes, I need somebody to demo a specific skill. So I ask one of them to go there, and I always explain how to do it, so they're always like, okay, I need to make sure I'm doing it correctly. So it's kind of fun to have that, and I feel like the campers really enjoy because it's a chance for them to meet the girls, and we always tell them to come and watch the game. We give them season passes, so that's also another thing that they really like, to come and support us later.
Absolutely. I know the kids really look up to your players and the opportunity to be in the gym, interact with them, and have them help teach some instruction. And then, as you said, the ability to kind of meet each other as a team for the first time. With so many new faces this year, especially, as you said, only 4 sophomore returners from last year's squad. And you're the only ones on campus at the time. You're the first to move in. And, even come August 1st when you can start practice, there's not a lot of distractions yet. There's not other people on campus. They're not having to focus in yet on schoolwork, that kind of thing. So you're able to kind of really hit the ground running.
Yes. So since we don't have classes, we don't have anything else really happening on campus, what we usually do, and I'm so grateful for my assistants, Deb Monzon and Courtney Monzon, because I would not be able to do this by myself. So what we usually do, the girls like to call it 3-a-days. We call it 2-a-days because for us, it's just like twice a day, even though we stay here, from sometimes 8 a.m. till God knows when.
You're here before I arrive. You were here sometimes even after I left. So.
Yeah, but it's part of preseason. We don't have a long preseason, so you need to hit the ground running. So we usually do one individual with ball with me. So we have individual groups. So let's say one day I have setters and the S's is starting with me on the court, and then we do an hour and a half max, and that is including, stretching and all of those things. And then when that group is with me, the hitters will be working out and making sure they're getting shape. They're getting, working on vertical and everything like that with Courtney at the same time. So we have two groups going at the same time. When both groups finish, we switch. So the ones who are started over there in the weight room with Courtney come down to have some, touches and individual work with me. And then that's the morning session. And then we usually always try to fit in all of our testings, because we do a lot of testings as well, to see approach, jump, vertical, and all of those things like agility. And then we also do individual meetings, because especially when we have all these freshmen coming back, I want to know, some of them I know a little bit before, but a lot of them, a lot of the recruiting is online. So we might go watch them once or twice, but I don't really know a lot. So when they get here, that's the chance that I have to open the door and make sure they know that anything they need to talk to me, they can just come and talk to me. Kind of like an icebreaker, for some of them. Some of them are a little bit more shy. The international sometimes might be the first time that, we're interacting, and actually I can ask questions about their family, about what they like to do, why they started playing volleyball, and things like that.
Well, and that's interesting. For those that don't know your story and your background, your relationship to Cloud County started as a student athlete. You yourself, an international student athlete that came from Brazil to the United States to become a student and compete here at Cloud County Community College. So I imagine that gives you an opportunity to be able to relate to a lot of these girls, especially those that are coming from overseas or a different country, that what that's like, stepping into a whole new world, really, and on a campus and meeting people for the first time.
Yes. Usually, especially with my internationals, I make sure they have an open, somebody to talk to, because I know how hard it is. I know when an international decides to come to play here in the U.S., it's not because they're just trying to I just want to go and visit U.S. They're leaving parents behind, friends behind, to chase a dream. And that goes for every single sport, not only volleyball. I see so many cases, so many stories of people that all they had was the dream. And that's why they came to the U.S., because they probably wouldn't have opportunities in their country. So they decide to come and it's hard, especially as a freshman, sometimes first time leaving home. And I try to always talk to them, especially volleyball. I always joke that volleyball in the U.S. is another sport. If you watch the Olympics, you're going to see that the rules are different, the way and the style of play, everything is different. This year, we recruited a freshman from Italy, and she's a libero. And poor thing, she's so confused still, because internationally, there's no DS. So you either have a libero or you have your outsides being a 6 rotation player, so they don't leave when they're in the back row. So she was confused about that. She was confused because internationally, liberos don't serve, and here she needs to serve. So she was a little bit oh, it's fun. She actually likes serving, so she likes that rule. And then another thing she was a little bit confused was because the ball touches the ceiling here, and we can still play if it's still on our side. And internationally, it's actually something that you plan, it's part of the strategy to make the ball touch something, because as long as it stays. If it touches the ceiling or anything, the ball is a point for the other team. So there are some things like that when they come, it's nice to have their experience, so I can not only explain, but also I can relate to what they're going through.
And it sounds like in the early going, the 2-a-days or 3-a-days, whatever you want to refer to them as, initially it's really about let's get into volleyball shape, right? And I'm sure you can tell right away coming in who had some off-season workouts, who put in the time, who didn't, but you work them into shape pretty quick, and then you can start getting into the specifics, the techniques, start drilling things down.
Yes, exactly. We usually send them some, workouts that they need to do weekly, but we cannot make sure that for sure they're doing what they're doing. The way we do it, we have an app, we use the app, and we ask them after they do the workout to post a picture, just like, hey, I worked out today. So, we don't know if they're really working out and how intense it is. Our sophomores, they know how it is when they get here, so I know for sure all of them came back in shape. They're all good. But sometimes freshmen, and that's one thing that they were talking and, telling me, for high school, sometimes what they think it's like them giving their best is not even close to what it is here. The level was different. Sometimes we like to recruit local kids from smaller schools. So sometimes, they don't have a lot of time. Because they're playing other sports, so they don't have a lot of time to focus on volleyball, or the weightlifting program is not very structured. So what they think is their best, what they think it's like a good workout is not even close to when we get here. So, usually that first year they can be a little bit shocked with the level we play, but then after like the 2 weeks, they're able to join and do everything they need to.
Are you a Kansas or Nebraska high school senior who's thinking about your next steps after high school? If so, you qualify for Cloud County Community College's $500 Early Bird Scholarship. All you have to do is visit campus before December 13th and have a GPA of 3.0 or higher, and you get a $500 scholarship guaranteed. So come visit Cloud and see why our students are Cloud proud. On your visit, you'll see our campus, meet with an academic advisor, and get a chance to have all your questions answered. Set up your campus visit today by giving us a call at 800-729-5101 extension 212 or visiting us online at cloud.edu/admissions.
We're joined today by Hilta Ramos, head volleyball coach at Cloud County Community College, previewing the start to the 2024 season for Cloud County. And I want to look ahead, but before we do that, can we look back to last year? Your first year stepping into the role as the head coach. Previously had been an assistant with Hall of Famer Deb Monzon. Flip-flop position. She's now your assistant coach, you the head coach. The team went 22-13 last year, 8-8 in conference play. Reflect back just for me a moment. How did you feel like things went first year for you as a head coach and for the team overall?
I think, of course, we always have room to improve. But I think overall it was a good season. We had a lot of bumps in the road. We initially recruited 14 players. 2 of them, within a week of moving in, decided not to come. One was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to leave my family. I can't leave my mom, and what can we do, right? I was like, okay, sure. It's your decision. Try to convince her to come and try, but it didn't work. So then we're down to 13. And then another player from like an international player decided to go to Florida, because sometimes they just want. They come from places where they have a lot of things, and moving into Concordia, Kansas might be a big shock for them. So they decide, to not come. So we had those 2 things right like the week before preseason starts. So that wasn't much I could do over there. And then we start playing, and then we had an injury first week of preseason as well. And that's why we tell everybody, you guys need to work out when you guys have your summers, because if not, you get here and chances of getting injured is very high. And then we had another player, one of our liberos, she was having some health issues that we needed to make sure she was healthy before putting her to play. So we ended up, having most of our season with 10 players only. And it's kind of hard because we play 30 plus games every year. So it was a lot. When we got to the playoffs, we actually had 9 players, and from those 9 players, 4 of them were middle. So I needed to figure out, okay, what are we going to do with the outside? So, I feel like we played really well. We had really good games against Barton, who won the regular season. They had a really good team. We were able to, go to 5, a really good game. I don't know if anybody who's listening watched that game, but that was a really good game.
The gym was rocking, too.
Yes, it was rocking. Even people from Barton still remembers that, and they say that the atmosphere was awesome. So we were able, even though everything we're facing, we're able to still put up a fight against the teams. They're like, up ahead, and I think they only lost 3 games, and we were pretty close to taking the 4th game out of them. And then we also had great games. We actually won our home game against Colby, which was the team that actually ended up going to nationals. So, I feel like overall we had a lot of great moments. I feel like we had a good season. But, God knows everything, why, we ended up the season with the way we did. But I'm glad and I'm happy, that we had some of those girls returning and we have great freshmen coming in.
5 all-conference honorees and selections from a year ago, 2 of them back in Emery May and Brady Medina, who are both recognized as honorable mention all Jayhawk Conference picks in the Jayhawk West a year ago. 4 returners in total, and then as you mentioned earlier, you're also welcoming in a sophomore transfer into the program this year.
Yes. So she's from Serbia. Her first year here in the U.S., she played for Monroe College out of New York. They actually have a really good program, so we're very excited to have her here. And, not just bring her skills, but also her experience. So that was a great way, to also kind of keep that sophomore leadership, but at the same time kind of balance it out, the sophomore, freshman classes.
And I know you're really excited about the freshman group that's coming in this year and what they've shown already in some of the early practices and exhibitions. The big challenge, right, is you're still trying to figure out what are my pieces? Who's going to be where on the floor at what time? Who's going to give me what I need in the matches?
Yes, exactly. So yesterday we had a scrimmage where I was trying so many rotations. Because I have so many good players who came in, and I'm trying to figure out the best way and the best rotation and who works well with who, setting-wise. We have 3 setters, 3 different styles of setting, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, so which one will be the best for this situation. So right now I'm just trying a lot of different things. So, yeah, it's exciting, but at the same time, it's a lot of work.
I think so often we get lost in what is their skill level, but we don't pay attention to some of the other things like the ability to communicate on the floor and what kind of chemistry do they have with their teammates, and do they have leadership intangibles? When the team's down, can they get everybody built back up? It's not just about the fundamentals of the game of volleyball, but some of those other things are so critical.
Exactly, and especially for us, the girls already know if you don't talk, you're not going to be inside of the court. Because volleyball, you have to talk. You have not only to be able to talk to, make sure your teammates know what's going on, but also I tell my middles, you need to make sure the other middle stays with you. And the way that they're going to do that is if you're loud. Same thing with our pins. We need to make sure we're being a loud team that the other team doesn't even know what to think. Oh, who is doing this? Who's getting this ball? So that type of communication is essential. Leadership, I don't know how many times I played some players that probably were not the most skilled player that you would see, but they had something that they would put the team together. So if I have a player that will make everybody else around them play better, I will play that player over somebody that has the most skills, but nobody really appreciate or really want to connect and stay around that player. And this group is, so far they have been awesome. They are very, very nice to each other. I don't see any, bad body language or anything like that. It's just really a matter of connecting, tempo of balls and stuff like that.
When it comes to these preseason scrimmages or exhibitions that you have with McPherson and Kansas Wesleyan, and you talk about the different rotations that you're throwing out there, obviously you want to be successful every time you step on the courts, and so you want to see success, but this early going is more important about, again, developing those things that we just talked about, making sure that they can coexist as a team and gel together, and that you can identify even a month, 2 months from now, what's going to be our successful unit and the kids that we want on the floor?
Yes, I am extremely competitive. Anybody who knows me will know that. So it's really hard for me to just do that. But especially with such a big freshman team, like freshman girls coming in, I need to understand that I need to figure out the best way for them to play. I need to make sure I'm like giving everybody opportunity to show their talent before I starting, to pick, okay, this is the team that I think is going to be the best. Like, I want to keep an open mind to everything before making those drastic decisions. Even though I want to win, sometimes, this scrimmages will show me maybe this girl might not be your starter, but if you need somebody to put the team up, because they're like 1, 2, 3 points in a row and we need somebody to pass, I can put this girl to pass, and then get some experience. And then, there's so many possibilities that if I don't do this now at the beginning for the scrimmages, I don't think I'll be able to see and know my team well enough to make those changes if needed.
And do the girls feel like, or do you sense that they seem adaptable, willing to take on whatever role that you're asking them?
Yes, and that's something that I talk when I'm recruiting all of them. Freshmen, sophomores, I can probably choose like, okay, this is the position you play better. This is where you like to play better. You can stay there. But all of my freshmen, they know they're going to be trained in more than one position. So, for example, my 2 incoming middles, they're also training on the right side. My 2 setters, I have 2 setters. There are setters and also hitters, and I have 1 setter. There's a setter DS. Both of my outsides and right sides, I can put them on either side of the court, and they need to be able to perform. Libero DSs, I can put them to defend in any one of the 3 back row places, and they need to be able to do all of it. So, yeah, all of them, and they are very adaptive. They are okay with, like, me putting them anywhere. Last year, now she's a sophomore, but Ashley Suter, I tell her all the time, I recruited her as a outside, knowing that she would be able to set. So she started as an outside, and then she DS'd a little bit, and then when our libero got some health issues and she couldn't, continue in playing, we needed another setter, so we put our setter to be the new libero, and then she went and stepped up as, one of our setters. So you never know what's going to happen down the road, so I'm happy they're understanding that it's for the team, it's not about themselves. I feel like that's the biggest thing about them.
The Cloud County Community College volleyball team set to open up its 2024 season, and they will do so by making a trip to Mesquite, Texas, where they will compete in the Dallas College Eastfield Invitational. It begins on Friday, August 23rd, when Cloud County will face off with Ranger College, and then the T-Birds will square off with Dallas College Eastfield and Independence Community College on Saturday. Kind of unique. This is going to be the first of back-to-back trips down to Texas for you and the team. And this is going to be some pretty quality competition to start the season off with.
Yes, correct. Some of the reasons why we decided to go ahead and have those tournaments in Texas. First, I feel like Texas volleyball is just something else. Like, just like Nebraska, I feel like Nebraska and Texas are big states where they really invest in their volleyball programs. The club system is crazy. Like, they really, really invest on volleyball. So we ended up having 2 girls from Nebraska this year and 4 girls from Texas, South Texas, actually. So we decided if their parents ever going to see them playing, it's probably going to be somewhere over there. And then I emailed some of the teams over there asking if they had a tournament. And then I got 2 of them like, hey, we're going to have tournaments and we're going to have a try if you guys want to come. And then I saw the teams that were participating. Some of the teams, they won their district. So it's going to be a really good competition, and we're going to give the girls the chance to, some of them have never left their home state. Some of the internationals always hear about Texas but never been there. So it's going to be a good competition, but also going to give the girls the opportunity to visit another state and know something else other than Kansas. Yeah,
last year, the host school, Dallas College Eastfield, went undefeated, 35-0, swept 29 of their opponents, only dropped 6 sets all year, on their way to becoming the first NJCAA Division III volleyball team to go unbeaten and win a national championship, second national championship for them in school history. And to me, it doesn't matter what level you're playing at. 35-0 is 35-0. A national championship's a national championship, and you go see them on their home floor, second match of the year. That's going to be a huge challenge, but maybe a good glimpse for all these newcomers and new faces to see what college volleyball is really like.
Yes, exactly. One of the things that sometimes people don't understand is the Division 1, 2, and 3. It's not separated because, Division 1 is the best teams or the most athletic, and then 2 and then 3, they're just like people that really don't know how to play. You can have great teams in every single division. The only difference is like Division 3, we cannot offer athletic scholarships. But there are some smart kids that will get some full rides of academic scholarship and still be able to play. So I feel like that's the case for them. They have a very solid program. And not only them, we're going to play so many other teams that, some of them are getting better. And one thing about volleyball, you can't really just go in thinking that you're going to win, because it's such a mental game that if we're not prepared, the defense can take us off our feet, or maybe the offense. So we need to be prepared, really need to be prepared.
Action gets underway this weekend in Texas. We'll be providing updates throughout the weekend at cloudtbirds.com. You can also follow us at Cloud County Athletics on Facebook or at CCCC Sports on Twitter. Are you ready to get it underway?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
What do you most look forward to first couple of matches out? Not looking the whole season, but just, those initial matches. What are you focusing in on?
I am focusing on getting them into a place where we're all on the same page. They all know what they need to be doing, and we understand that we need to fight. Because, of course I want to win, but I feel like we need to get prepared first. So I always preach to them that practice is something we need to focus on. Every touch matters. So for those first few games, I want them to just be confident enough in their skills because they know they practice for it. And, just make sure everybody's on the same page and they can start playing and having fun. Because sometimes, they start getting too much in their heads and they forget that the reason why they do this is not only because they want to win, but I feel like they need to understand they need to have fun, they need to create good memories, and also be competitive.
You're going to be road warriors to start the season with the trip to Mesquite, Texas for the Dallas College Eastfield Invitational. And then after that, on August 28th, you head up to Columbus, Nebraska. You'll match up with Central Community College, a team that was the Region 9 champs a year ago, so always a tough place to go play. And then you head back to Texas for the Cisco College Wrangler Ranger Roundup that'll take place in Cisco, Texas, August 30th through the 31st. And then conference play begins September 4th. First team you see, the team that ended up going to the national tournament, Colby. You'll make a trip out there on September 4th, followed by a road trip to Liberal on September 7th, I should say, a conference match with Seward County. And then finally at home, September 9th, for your home opener against McPherson College JV. So again, they're going to get really tested right out of the gate.
They will. They will, especially seeing Colby first game, an away game. It's never easy. That's what we already started talking to our freshmen, and our sophomores were the one who actually brought it up. Sometimes when we go first game on the road, they don't know what to expect, and they see all the crowd, and they might be a little bit nervous. So that's something we're already starting to talk about and communicate with them, so they kind of have a better expectation. They're not going like, oh my gosh, first conference game and get all lost. Like, it's just like, hey, it's just the first game. Just go there and do what you practice. You should be fine. So,
again, people can follow along with us throughout the season at cloudtbirds.com, Cloud County Athletics on Facebook, or at CCCC Sports on Twitter. Coach, I appreciate you making time to join us, and I'm introducing a new thing that I'm going to do each show, okay?
Okay.
And I'm going to call this the final 4 questions.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you just 4 questions, maybe none of them in relationship to each other, but just to get to know you a little better, but just to get your thoughts on the season ahead. So are you ready?
Yes.
All right. I'll put you on the spot a little bit, so I'll apologize in advance. Now, first one, I just want to know what in particular are you most proud about when you look at your team and how they've attacked the preseason so far? What stands out to you? What are you most proud about, their effort and their attitude?
I am really proud of this team, not going to lie. There are so many things. I feel like the way they have been treating each other and the way they're trying to include each other and help each other, I feel like that's something that is standing out to me. I don't see any groups. I don't see, anybody trying to be like, oh, this is my spot. Like, I see people trying to help each other. Like, the other day, one of my sophomore middles was trying to help a freshman on the same position. And sometimes when people think about, like, oh, I want to be the starting middle, so, I'm not going to help my teammate. But they understand that if we win, it's Cloud County Community College volleyball that's going to win. It's not going to be this a specific player or that. So I think they really understand that, and they are trying to grow as a team. That really stands out to me.
Question 2. Heading into your second year as a head coach, what's been the best coaching advice that you've ever received?
Be patient. Yeah, well, junior college, you're always going to have a new team every single year, and I am extremely competitive, like to the point where I will lose nights of sleep if there's one little thing that is not going the way it should go, that I thought should go. So one advice, especially like younger coaches that are very competitive like me, just be patient, believe that you need to understand that your team, like your players, are trying to do the best. And sometimes even though and you tell them all the time what they should be doing, and you think if you just listen, but they're going through a lot of changes, and I need to understand that they're still doing their best with all of the changes, and I need to be more patient.
You're making a long road trip, bus trip to Texas with the team. Let's stay off the courts. What's your favorite thing about the travels, the road trips, being together as a team when you head out of town, you make trips like this?
Usually when we make trips like that, we try to find something, different to do. We're still not going to say what we're planning for the Texas trip, but, something sometimes that it's going to be free, but something for them to just know, some of them don't travel a lot, so that's their opportunity for them to travel. Like I mentioned before, I always have individual meetings beginning of the season to know them a little bit better. And a lot of them, one of their goals is to travel the world, to travel the U.S. So I think that's one of my favorite things. Like, we can use the sport to actually help them to hey, maybe when I get older, I can probably go to another country. I'm not afraid to leave Kansas, because a lot of the time some of them come over here and they're like, oh, I never left Kansas. So when we put this, Nebraska, Texas, those out-of-state trips, they get so excited. And that's one of my favorite things, see how excited they are to go and do the little new things with the team.
The memories that can be made.
Exactly, yes.
Well, let's end there. Final question then. For you, as a player or a coach, what's your all-time favorite volleyball memory?
Okay, this one is going to be hard to beat. I really hope in the near future we get a national, we go to the national and win national, so then it's going to replace this one. But this one was me as a player. It was 2009. I was just coming from a knee injury. I had my first ACL surgery, so I was coming back. And that year, that team, we won basically almost every game. And one moment, I remember the way we played in Brazil for the finals. We won every single game, we were undefeated until this first game. So the final, to define the winner, it was best out of 3. So the first game for this final thing, we won, we smoked them. And then I think we got a little to like, oh, we won it all. And then we went to their home to play the second game to make sure we would be like the winner. And we got there, it was like 24-17 for us, third set. And believe it or not, we lost the entire game. We needed 1 point, and we lost 2 other sets after that. So that week, we had 1 week in between, and we called Hell Week because it was the hardest mentally and physically. You know, everybody just telling us, oh, you're not that good if you lose, you know. And then we had the last game, actually the final, and I remember that it was, nothing was working for us, probably like a very mental block that we all had. And third set, 23-13 for them. They were about to win and take it all. And as a team, my coach asked for a timeout. He was so mad that he didn't even say anything. He just called the timeout and went to go sit down. And as a team, I remember we just hugged each other in a little huddle. And then we're like, you know what? We did what we could until this point. Right now, for some reason, nothing is really working. So let's just play and have fun, get these memories. And believe it or not, we ended up winning that game. Like, we turned the 23-13 to winning the whole entire, and that was like a state tournament. So that moment when, and fun fact, the gym was packed because they really want to see the final, and we were like 2 of the best teams. And another fun fact, 2 girls that play for the Olympic team for Brazil, they were on that team. It was against them. So Gabby, number 10, I don't know if anybody watched the Olympics, so I played my entire life against her, and the middle blocker, Carol, my entire life playing against them. So having games against them and winning, and specifically that game, it's a moment that's going to be hard for me to like forget. That's like top moment of my life, like winning against a really good team, really good players on the other side, and the way we did, like with everybody already like leaving the gym. The gym was packed, and people are like, third set, oh, they're losing, you know, leaving the gym. And then we start to like picking it up and ended up winning. That's like,
but it illustrates that it's never over till it's over.
Oh no, that's what I tell my girls every single time. I'm like, do not stop chasing the ball until you hear the whistle, because that's volleyball. That's one of the reasons why I love volleyball. Like, everything can happen.
Let's hope some greater memories are made here soon.
Oh yes, that's what I'm working for.
That's the goal?
That's the goal.
Coach, I appreciate you joining us. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here and participate and share a little bit about me, a little bit about the team, and I hope everybody come to support us and watch our team play.
Are you a Kansas or Nebraska high school senior who's thinking about your next steps after high school? If so, you qualify for Cloud County Community College's $500 Early Bird Scholarship. All you have to do is visit campus before December 13th and have a GPA of 3.0 or higher, and you get a $500 scholarship guaranteed. So come visit Cloud and see why our students are Cloud proud. On your visit, you'll see our campus, meet with an academic advisor, and get a chance to have all your questions answered. Set up your campus visit today by giving us a call at 800-729-5101 extension 212 or visiting us online at cloud.edu/admissions.
My thanks to Cloud County Community College volleyball coach Hilta Ramos for being our guest this week on T-Bird Talk. We want to wish the best of luck to her and the 2024 T-Bird volleyball team as they open up their season this weekend with 3 matches at the Dallas College Eastfield Invitational. Again, we'll be bringing you reports and various in-game updates on our Cloud County social media accounts. So you want to make sure to follow us at Cloud County Athletics on Facebook and at CCCC Sports on Twitter. We'll be recapping the Dallas College Eastfield Invitational next week, and we'll be talking about another trip to the Lone Star State for the T-Bird volleyball team next week on T-Bird Talk. New episodes come out each Thursday, so make sure to subscribe to T-Bird Talk on your favorite podcast platform. T-Bird Talk is a production of the Cloud County Athletic Department.